The gunship comes over and says, hey,
Were you by yourself over there?
my spidey sense is like going bonkers.
You
They thought I was dead.
Oh my God.
Traveled through my face.
Step
on an enemy fighter.
an enemy fighter?
And he was like, Red, you're still alive? Snipers are watching, and we just watched 5 guys run out of a house about 150 yards away and run out of the house and run across the street into some vegetation. So I want you to take your team and go up there. Let's wrap these guys up and find out who they are. Because that's unusual. You know, if you just flew in on helicopters and took down a target, people aren't moving at night like that.
Yeah.
Especially if they're running and hiding. And we had seen that before. We had seen that on other targets. So I got our guys online. There were 9 of us, DJ being one of them. And we pushed up from the south going north towards his house. And there was, where our house was, there was a road and it kind of made a S. The target house was kind of here at the first bend, and underneath that curve was kind of this large vegetated field, and on the north side was nothing but thousands of yards of desert. So we're pushing through the vegetation. We pushed. We had a gunship overhead. As a matter of fact, things had gotten so hairy. We had been getting into so many engagements and had so many close calls. The gunship became a go no go criteria for us at the end of that deployment. Like if we didn't have a gunship, we weren't going. So we had the gunship overhead. And we're, I was talking to them, hey, what do you see? We just see some guys that are laying there. So any movement, any guns? No, we're not seeing anything. Okay, roger that. So we pushed into this vegetation, and dude, it was so fucking thick. Loud, crackly. It was almost, it reminded me of like a bamboo grove. But it was so dense, like your night vision didn't work at all. You couldn't see shit. You just had this green blob. And we're trying to crack through this stuff. So my spidey sense is like going bonkers. And this is, I tell a lot of people now, and I try and tell young leaders, man, listen to your sixth sense. I wrongly chalked it up as fear. I was like, it's just fear. This is a hairy situation. This just fear. This is our tactics, continue to push through, and, everybody's online. We're good. Gunship doesn't see anything, but I didn't listen to that. I should have, hindsight being 2020, I would have grabbed my team leader and said, hey man, my spidey sense is going nuts. How's yours? What's going on? And maybe he would have said, hey bro, I think it's just fear. Let's drive forward. Or he would have said, yeah, dude, maybe we should approach this a different way. So we kind of kept pushing forward. As we're driving through, the gunship comes over and says, hey, you're going to miss those guys. You need to turn to the northeast. I said, roger that. So we make this turn. On our left were 2 new guys and our EOD guy. So apparently those guys weren't monitoring the right freak. So they didn't hear the call to make that turn. So when we made that turn, they kept going straight. So as we're pushing, we realized, it was the interpreter was off to my left, and he said, Red, hey, the guys aren't with us anymore. I'm like, what? So we stopped, took a knee, and we're waiting. Can't really hear them. At this point, we had moved up to the northeast, and I don't know who was on the far right flank, but they were like, hey, I'm on the edge of a field. Why don't we push out? Let's get out of this vegetation, and then we can push up to the north. At that point, our EOD guy came up and said, hey, yeah, we missed you guys somehow. He said, I can push out to the west. I said, yeah, do that. Let's, because now, all I'm thinking about is we have 2 maneuvering elements and an unknown enemy force. So I'm like, roger that. We're pushing out to the east. You guys push out to the west. Let's move up in the open area. Let's reconnect. And then we'll go in and wrap these guys up from the north. So as we're pushing out that corner, I was now closer to the front, myself and the interpreter, DJ, our medic, one of the other guys, Matt, is behind me, and our team leader. And it was about that time. I'm now out in the open, myself and the interpreter, and push to the left to start moving down to the west to link up with those three guys. And right as our medic is coming out of the vegetation, he literally stepped right on an enemy fighter. This enemy fighter rolls over and goes to engage him, and he shoots him. So at this point now, I'm out front, the interpreter's out front. There's at least one other guy with us that's out front. And what we didn't realize is we were directly in the kill zone.
Who stepped on him?
Our medic stepped on an enemy fighter.
An enemy fighter?
Yep. So what we didn't
shit.
know, so what the gunship saw was only a few guys. What actually was there was almost what we estimate to be a 12 to 15 man element that had a ambush line set up about 5 yards back in that vegetation facing north. What we think probably happened was the leader had been in the building we took down earlier and then moved up to this house, 100 yards away to the north to sleep for the night. And probably had his security detail set up so that if vehicles came in, because our vehicles would have to pull right in front of that vegetation, or if helicopters landed in that open field, either way, they would have been in perfect position to engage us. We ended up coming up from the south. Very disciplined force because, man, we were cracking all kinds of brush behind them, and they didn't engage us from the south. They waited until we were in the kill zone. So, Luke engaged that guy, and that started that gunfight. The whole world erupted at that point. Luke was the first one shot, took a round right below the knee. He had a compound fracture. Bone came out and anchored him right into the ground. He's screaming, pinned down. That's when Maddie ran forward, grabbed him. The only thing behind us was this large John Deere tractor tire in that tree that I guess DJ got behind. I was out front. I'm laying down fire. And I'll be honest, what happened next was I started yelling out, ceasefire, ceasefire. Because I knew the angle we were at. Like, we were in this corner, and those other guys were off to the west. So I'm thinking, dude, we're fucking totally going to shoot each other. So I was initially yelling ceasefire, which I quickly realized, okay, we're in the middle of a gunfight. Like, we can't ceasefire. So then I started yelling, make sure you know who you're shooting at. But yeah, at this point, we're getting all shot up. Matty had been stitched up the leg and in the arm. He still managed to get Luke back behind that tire. I guess by yelling and shooting, I attracted a lot of attention because at this point I had both machine guns turned on me, and I was stitched across the body armor, 2 rounds in the left elbow. I took rounds off my gun, rounds off my helmet, had my left night vision tube shot off.
Holy shit.
Turned to try and move back to the tire at this point. And I guess that's when I caught the round from behind that hit me in the face. So it caught me right in front of the ear, traveled through my face, took off most of my nose, vaporized my orbital floor, broke all the bones above my eye, shattered broke the head of my jaw and shattered my jaw down to my chin. And knocked me out. And Jay and those guys saw that. They saw me fall. So they thought I was dead. So I'm unconscious at this point, not aware of that. And this gunfight's now raging. Like, they're behind the tire in the tree, and they're just, raging gunfight about, 15, 20 yards, 15 yards. I mean, it was pretty close.
Apart?
Apart. Yeah, from where the tire and the tree was to this vegetation where these guys are. But we can't see them. All you can see is muzzle flashes. So I come to at whatever point. The gunfight we know lasted 30 to 40 minutes, 35 to 40 minutes. I don't know how long I was unconscious, maybe 10 minutes. So I come to at this point, and I was I knew I was way fucked up. Like when I got shot in the arm, like that fucking hurt a lot. As a matter of fact, I thought my arm was shot off. After I'd been shot in the face, when I came to, I really wasn't feeling any pain. I just was fucked up. I was trying to like, okay, where am I? What's happening? And then kind of the world started to open back up, and like I could hear the gunfire. I also started to notice rounds traveling over me, the tracer fire literally traveling over me. At this point, I was laying flat on my back, and I'm like, okay, holy shit, like you're still in this gunfight, and that's tracer fire. Like, do not sit up. At one point, and I don't know why, I took my helmet off. I'm laying there and I unclipped my helmet and took my helmet off, and that's when, at some point, I heard it. I took that round through my helmet that now is drawn in my skull, so right through the forehead of my helmet. I took another round while I was laying on the ground off my right side plate. And the interesting thing about side plates is I normally didn't wear them. The only reason I wore side plates at night, one, a little voice before that mission was like, wear your side plates. I was like, I don't normally wear my side plates. I want to be lighter. I normally only wore them on mobility ops to give me more protection against IEDs. But I don't know, little voice was like, wear your side plates. So I wore my side plates and I took a round right off the right side plate. So shit show, chaos, shooting. And I remember there was a lull in fire, and I called out to my team leader and was like, how long till the medevac? And he was like, Red, you're still alive? I was like, yeah, how long to the medevac? And he was like, 5 minutes. So I like focused on, you got to stay awake to stay alive. Yeah, you got to make it to the medevac, like if you're going to get out of here alive. So I knew my arm had been fucked up. I tried to get my tourniquet on my arm, and I'll be honest, I'd lost so much blood, I couldn't even break the rubber bands on my tourniquet.
Oh my God.
So, which is a lesson learned. I used 3 of those really thick rigging rubber bands we use for our parachutes.
That's what I used to use.
Yeah, well, lesson learned. When you're really weak, I couldn't break them. I couldn't get enough leverage with my good arm to break them. So I'm laying there, I'm bleeding out. This gunfight continues to rage, and more time goes by. And I ask our team leader again, hey, how long to the medevac? He's like, 5 more minutes. I'm like, you said that last time. So,
were you by yourself over there?
yeah, I'm
this
out
whole
front.
time?
I'm literally pinned down about 10 yards, 15 yards in front of the guys. So, and what I realized though is, dude, there's nothing they can do. They've got to win this fight. They can't run out and get you. They're going to get all shot up. So you just got to be patient, which is a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
When you realize you're bleeding out.
Fuck, man.
So at what point Jay, calls me or yells out, hey, let me back up for a second. He asked for a fire mission, and the gunship is like, absolutely not. He's like, you guys are so close, we'll fucking kill you. Like, we were well within danger close parameters. So they're like, you have to figure out a way to fall back from these guys. And Jay's like, dude, there's no place for us to go. It's like thousands of yards of empty desert. It's like, not only that, I got 2 dudes all shot up, one, super shot up, and, we can't even get to him. And they're like, you got to figure something out because we can't bring this fire mission in. We'll kill you guys. So period of time goes by. He calls back again. They're like, no, absolutely not. So the 3rd time he calls back and he's like, look, and I don't know how long this has been. And this had been probably 25 minutes at this point in a very intense gunfight. He's like, we are running out of ammo. He's like, nobody's going to be left if you don't bring this fire mission in. So finally they said, okay, well, what's your JTAC number? So JTACs in the military are guys who've been officially trained it's called a Joint Tactical Air Controller. So that means they have been blessed by special operations to have the skills to bring in gunfire from aircraft. And they have to know all the different parameters and all these things so that we don't mistakenly kill friendly forces, which we have done with fire missions from the sky. So they say to Jay, what's your JTAC number? Because they wanted to put the onus on him, that if they accidentally killed us, it would be Jay's fault and not the gunship's fault. And I mean, I respect that. I don't know, sometimes. Anyways, so he gave it to him, and I remember him yelling out to me, hey, incoming. And I remember laying there, and you can hear the gun go off, and there's a delay. This period of time before the rounds hit the ground. I mean, decent amount. And I remember waiting, and all of a sudden, boom! It was 40 Mike, and it literally hit the ground directly in front of me, and in front of me enough that it blew up, and I felt the concussive blast and the dust and debris. And immediately, the machine gun in front of me went cold, and I heard the guy yelling out, Allah Akbar. And I was like, roger that, stand by, bro, because here he comes. And sure enough, they called in the next couple of fire missions. So in between those fire missions, Jay ran forward and got me and dragged me back to the tire.
No matter where you're watching Shawn Ryan Show from, if you get anything out of this, please like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share this everywhere you possibly can. And if you're feeling extra generous, please leave us a review on Apple and Spotify podcasts.